It had been weeks of working late, my body aching from hunching over my desk, begging for rest. My best friend's brother, Ethan, had just completed his training as a massage therapist. "Let me help," he'd said casually, and I'd agreed. I mean, he was practically family. That night, the house was quiet. I sat on the edge of the bed in the guest room awkwardly as Ethan set up his massage table, oils and towels laid out neatly. "You okay?" he asked, catching my nervous smile in the mirror. "Yeah, just a little tired," I admitted, trying to relax. "Don't worry, I'm professional, I promise," he said, chuckling softly before turning away to start the timer. The first thing I noticed was the smell, faintly lavender, a hint of eucalyptus, grounding and relaxing. Then came the touch, surprisingly warm, almost scalding hot. He worked his way from my shoulders, and I swear I heard myself sigh in relief as he dug his elbows into my stiff neck. "You're really tense," he murmured, his voice a low rumble that vibrated through my bones. "Work's been insane," I replied, my own voice softer than I expected. And then his hands were on my back, moving slowly, methodically, working out the knots that had formed without me even realizing it. I tried to focus on my breathing, tried to ignore the goosebumps erupting across my skin. I told myself it was just a massage, harmless, simple, nothing to think twice about. But the longer he worked on my upper back, the harder it became to believe my own lie. Every now and then, his fingers would linger just a fraction too long, just enough to send shivers down my spine, and I hated how much I loved it. I hated how helpless I felt under his skilled touch. "Ethan," I whispered, unsure if it was a warning or a plea, half hoping he wouldn't hear me. He must have sensed my thoughts because he pulled away slightly and asked, "Do you want me to stop?" His eyes, dark and intense, held mine for a moment before dropping to my shoulder, tracing the curve of it lightly. I couldn't say a word. My throat was dry, my mouth open in a silent scream. My only response was a slight shake of my head, and he took it as permission because the next thing I knew, his thumbs were digging into my skin, eliciting a gasp from me. He leaned in closer, his lips brushing against my ear. "This isn't a massage anymore," I managed to say, surprised by the tremor in my voice. "I know," he whispered, his breath warm on my neck. Tell me to stop, but I couldn't tell him to stop. I wouldn't tell him to stop. Instead, I arched into his touch, seeking more, wanting him to continue, which he did. Oh God, how I wanted to stop him, to push him away. But all I did was close my eyes and surrender to the sensation. It was painful, pleasurable, freeing, terrifying all at once. I hated myself for enjoying it. I hated myself for needing it. The rain outside seemed to intensify, drumming against the window pane like impatient fingers. When he was done, there was a long silence, the kind that stretches and pulls until it hurts. I stayed still, not wanting it to end, not wanting to break the spell. Finally he spoke, his voice hoarse. "We can't. Pretend this didn't happen." I turned my head to meet his gaze. "No," I whispered, tears threatening to spill. "We can't." Leaving the room, I felt exposed, vulnerable. The world outside seemed distorted, the colors too vibrant, the sounds too loud. All I could think about was the feel of Ivan's touch, the sound of his voice. Later that night, lying in my own bed, I stared at the ceiling, replaying the events from that night. Over and over in my mind, I told myself it was just a massage. But the memory of his touch lingered, a haunting reminder of what we'd both done. Sometimes the touch meant to heal you is the one that leaves the deepest mark.